I'm in charge. And if you don't like it, you can pack your and you can go home.
He won't let anyone stand in the way of success.
I don't need to work with somebody like you.
Then get out!
Marcus Lemonis takes charge July 30th. The Prophet on the all-new CNBC Prime.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to On the Money. I'm Maria Bartiromo, coming to you today from right outside the New York Stock Exchange on a beautiful day. It is one for the record books. The market hits new highs after calming words from Big Ben. An earnings season kicks off. Is there more room to run for stocks, or are there troubles ahead? Interest rates on the rise. Will that slow down the recovery in real estate? And is it too late to buy? Plus, the wheel deal for getting around cities going green, getting in shape and taking a ride. I'll go for a ride and take my bike and talk bike sharing in the Big Apple. On the Money begins right now.
This is America's #1 financial news program, On the Money. Now, Maria Bartiromo.
Here's a look at what's making news as we head into a new week on the Money. Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke gave the markets what they wanted to hear in a question and answer session after a speech this week. Bernanke said that the economy is still not strong enough to support higher interest rates.
Highly accommodative monetary policy for the foreseeable future is what's needed in the U.S. economy.
That sent the major indexes higher. The Dow and the S&P 500 closing in record territory on Thursday. The market's having their best day in about a month. And the Nasdaq hit a 13-year high as well on Friday. Earnings season, meanwhile, kicked off with a bang this week. Two major banks, JPMorgan Chase and Wells Fargo, coming in ahead of analysts' expectations, as did aluminum giant Alcoa. Don't look now, though, but gas prices are about to spike in prime driving season. Analysts say to expect a jump of 10 to 20 cents a gallon of gasoline. That's because oil prices are rising due to tensions in the Middle East and inventory issues here in the United States. Meanwhile, Barnes & Noble trying to read its own future. CEO William Lynch resigned suddenly 2 weeks after the company reported a big loss with problems in its digital e-reader division. It's possible the iconic bookstore may once again become a private company. Well, the markets were certainly happy to hear what Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke had to say this week. We also saw the kickoff to the second quarter earnings season as well. So what does it all mean for your money and the markets going forward? Joining me now, Danielle Hughes, founder and CEO of Divine Capital, and Bob Dahl, Chief Equity Strategist and Senior Portfolio Manager at Nuveen Asset Management. Thanks so much to you both for joining us. Good to see you both. So what a week. We're at a record high for the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 hitting records this week after Ben Bernanke's words. What did you make of the speech, Bob?
I think Ben Bernanke put the toothpaste back in the tube. I think he'd like to have some of the earlier speeches back where he perhaps talked too much. He wants to condition us that he's not going to buy $85 billion of bonds every month, but he will only stop or slow down when the economy is good enough. And he's told us the economy is not quite there yet.
You know what I thought was really interesting, Danny, was when Bernanke said the unemployment rate actually underestimates how bad unemployment is. So that gave it away right away, basically saying, look, we're not near our target, so it may be difficult for us to begin the end of the stimulus in September.
Yeah, I think he had in mind, this superstorm Sandy, which added a lot of jobs to the economy, and they're probably temporary jobs, unfortunately. Investors are kind of in a rundown right now. They love quantitative easing. It's helped the stock market dramatically, but they also want the economy to grow, which would take away QE. So who do you bet for? And that's where we find ourselves.
What about earnings? Earnings season underway. You had big financial companies reporting, JPMorgan, Wells Fargo on Friday. We've got a lot of financials next week. What are you expecting and what do you see so far?
So far, the earnings have been okay, Maria, as you know, but of course it's just a few companies. My guess is when the dust settles, earnings will beat expectations yet again because the expectations were pushed into the basement. The question is, will revenues be okay? In the first quarter, they really weren't, and my guess is in the second quarter, it's going to be iffy again.
So do fundamentals take over in terms of dictating the market, or you think it still is all about the Fed, Danny?
It is primarily about the Fed, but I do think fundamentals are extremely important. And like Bob said, we've got a really depressed outlook on what's going to happen, and earnings expectations are down dramatically. I think 97 companies actually lowered expectations for going forward. So.
And so you're also feeling like the fundamentals are getting better?
I do think they're better. I actually think that we're going to be happy. I think we're going to be, we're looking at this cautiously and optimistically, but I do believe that we're going to do better than we thought.
The evidence keeps getting that the economy is getting better. It's slow and it's not where it needs to be, but we continue to head the right direction.
What about interest rates, though? You know, the 10-year rate has moved up. In terms of, you know, this market moving partly on the idea that rates are at rock bottom levels, does that change or does that impact the economy? How would you characterize?
Look, at 2.5 for the 10-year Treasury,
Still
no,
low.
we're not 180 anymore, but what's the big deal? We'll look back at this period and say rates were just plain low. It's the rapidity of increase that concerned the equity market a few weeks back, Maria, and now we're back into the Fed's still our friend and the economy's okay.
Look, I think one of the big stories of the week was oil. At one point, oil above $106 a barrel, gasoline prices moving up on stronger demand over the July 4th weekend. Is that going to impact the economy negatively?
Certainly, I think that, you know, especially with small business, I think that will absolutely impact, and the consumer, too. They're not going to take as many trips because they're going to keep an eye on the gas. And, you know, one other thing with respect to mortgage rates rising pretty dramatically, and we're going to see that going forward, I think, in bank earnings because refis have been slowing down. So that's a concern, I think, going forward.
So in terms of investing right now, Bob, so much money has come out of bond funds. I guess it was, you know, $80 billion or so just in the last several weeks out of bond funds. Is it right to say out of bond funds? Should we be taking our money further out of bonds?
I think too many people have enjoyed a 30-year bull market in bonds and think bonds only and ever go up. So for those that are significantly overweight bonds, yes, I would take some money off the table. You need some bonds in your portfolio. The question to me is, do you have enough equities? And many Americans don't. That's where the growth has been and will likely continue to be. If we're going to win, that's where you have to be.
There really are very few alternatives to equities with rock bottom rates where they are.
Exactly right. You can stretch for yield here and there, but you need to be careful of your principal, as it were. And I think where we will get some growth, as we're both talking, will be in the equity market.
Danny, what are you advising clients to do right now?
Equities still, we're still into dividend plays. We like large cap. We're seeing small cap and mid cap, though, as being a possible bump up over the next 2 quarters.
All right, we'll leave it there. Danny Hughes and Bob Dahl, good to have you on the program. Thank you so much for joining us. And up next on The Money, 5 years after the mortgage meltdown, home prices are up, interest rates are rising, and now home buyers are scrambling. Is the housing market a rebound, real or for show? We'll take a look. And then later, bike sharing in the Big Apple. We are taking a ride on a city bike, a new program trying to change the streets of America's cities, 2 wheels at a time. Well, the housing market continues to heat up. Places like San Francisco, Atlanta, Las Vegas are seeing dramatic increases in prices from growing demand. But is it really a comeback, or are we getting too excited too soon? Joining me now on the State of Real Estate is developer Don Peebles. He is owner of the Peebles Corporation. And Don, it is wonderful to have you back on the program.
Great to be here.
Thanks so much for joining us. So home values have been rebounding, right? I mean, the numbers look good. They've been rebounding for over a year. Inventory shrinking, signaling a recovery in housing, although fewer people own homes today. What's the state of real estate?
Well, what's happened is there's a tremendous amount of pent-up demand, and inventory has not grown essentially in the last 5+ years. And so as the pressure from holding down prices and holding down investment in real estate has lifted, the inventory has gotten absorbed. And so now what we've had is all this inventory that seemed to be too much, bringing us into the recession in the first place back in 2008, has been absorbed and there's no inventory. So prices are rising very rapidly.
Now what about interest rates? We've gone from what, the low of about 3% to now 4.5% on your average 30-year mortgage. How do you think higher rates are going to impact the market?
What it does is it actually serves as a controlling element. Interest rates have been the lowest they've been in my lifetime. I remember when I bought my first home in 1987, interest rates were 9.5%, and that was a bargain.
Wow.
So, I think what's happening now is rates are just controlling the market a little more.
Yeah, I think we're going to look back someday and say, remember when we could have borrowed at 4.5%?
Yeah,
it was pretty extraordinary, even though that's up from 3% the low. I want to get your take about where we are in terms of the possibility of a bubble, because I recently spoke with former Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson. And he believes that with the federal government still insuring over 90% of new mortgages, we could be headed into a new housing bubble. Listen to what he said. I'd love to get your reaction.
If the government is setting the prices on your mortgages through a subsidy, it's not economic reality, and you will get another bubble again.
Are you worried?
No, not at all. The federal government's always had a role in insuring mortgages. They've done it through HUD, FHA, VA, and also Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So the government's role is just different right now. But if you look at New York City, for example, almost all of the mortgages that are placed in New York City exceed the insurance levels of government type of insurance programs, and they are being driven by high net worth buyers, high income buyers, and they are pulling up the market in gateway cities like New York, Miami, San Francisco.
What about that first-time home buyer, though? I mean, with more and more investors buying up real estate, are first-time home buyers getting blocked out of the market?
They're getting blocked out of the market, but for a different reason. There's not enough inventory. There's not enough inventory for those prior first-time buyers to step up to the next level of houses because nothing's been built in the last 5 to 6 years. And so we need more inventory at that price point because right now, today, it is less expensive to own than rent.
Now, you're building a big project. We had a $400 million project in downtown Manhattan, restoring the old New York Life Insurance building. Several other developments also in the hopper. Tell us about these projects and the opportunity in those markets.
Well, Tribeca and downtown, what's happening is New York is shifting in terms of luxury housing. Downtown now is the highest price point per square foot in Manhattan right now because it offers a great deal of freshness, new energy, and also new inventory because this is the only place where you can have new inventory right now, converting commercial buildings into residential buildings. And so we have a building that's 400,000 square feet, the original New York Life Insurance headquarters. It's an iconic building designed by Stanford White. And we're real excited about it, and we're going to transform that part of Tribeca. It's Eastern Tribeca, and we're real excited.
Wow, and prices are really going up in that part. What is commercial real estate looking like these days? Are prices getting away from people at this point?
We're seeing a shift in the tenants now. We're getting New York City, for example, is getting many more high-tech companies, and so other growth industries now are picking up the core downtown or central business district type office space in New York, Atlanta, Miami, San Francisco, as opposed to law firms and financial services industries that have pulled back a bit.
Let me switch gears a bit, ask you about the politics that you've obviously been a major fundraiser for President Obama. How much responsibility do you think he bears for this gridlock in Washington? Everybody wants to see both sides get together.
Oh, I think gridlock was here before the president got here, and it got more intense once he got into Washington. But the gridlock in Washington started back when Newt Gingrich in the mid-1990s had the contract with America, and when the Republicans took over the House of Representatives. That was when a deeply partisan approach came about, and that's just perpetuated from a prior period of time in the Congress of more working together, more of a partnership, to now extreme partisanship between the far right and the far left, and they both hijacked the parties. And the president, I think, is much more to the center than people give him credit for.
Yeah, it's unfortunate about that hijacking from the sides. Don, it's good to have you on the program.
Yeah, thank
you so much. Don Peoples joining us. Up next, we are on the money. Stay with us. We're going to check out New Yorkers riding high on bike sharing. We're taking a spin on city bikes with the city's Commissioner of Transportation. Back in a moment.
It's just a wonderful way to see the city, an easy way to commute.
I use it every day to go to work. So you just walk out and you don't need anything because the bike is right here. I have a helmet.
About every day I ride about 35 miles. I try and do it in the morning and then during lunch and then after work. I kind of really love City Bike.
Right now I'm going up to 34th and 8th Avenue. The only complaint is that up there at after 6 o'clock, there are no bikes left. Off to work.
Welcome back. Commuters are embracing new bike-sharing programs in cities as diverse as Minneapolis, Washington, Kansas City, New York. Also joining the craze with City Bike. It is the largest program in the country with over 6,000 bikes available. And with me right now is Jeanette Sadik-Khan in New York City's Department of Transportation. She is the commissioner. Jeanette, it's good to see you again.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, we've got the bikes here. I want to talk to you about this program. I really love it. Why do you think the city bike has become so popular so quickly?
Well, New Yorkers love choices in getting around, and New York is ideal for short trips. Over half the trips in New York City are under 2 miles. And New Yorkers like to do things in a New York minute. So the fact that you can grab a bike, take it out, go, dock it, no hassle, you're done, is a great new addition to our transportation system.
Let me ask you about the detractors. Some people have been citing a number of issues. For example, the docking stations taking up space. Some of the car drivers, they're saying, oh, you know, that was my parking space before, the already crowded areas, technical glitches with the app and the kiosks, the lack of bikes in economically poorer areas. Is the department working on some of these? What are you doing to alleviate some of these critics?
Well, the system has been used 1 million trips. New Yorkers have taken 1 million trips on City Bike in just the first 7 weeks alone. And there are over 180,000 members, daily, annual, weekly members. And so when you take a look at those numbers, people are clearly voting with their pocketbooks and they're voting with their pedals. The important piece to remember is that this system was designed by New Yorkers for New Yorkers. We had the largest public participation of any transportation project in history. 400 meetings, 65,000 people made suggestions about where the stations should go and actually got down with maps and figured out where they went. So we've taken less than 1% of parking spaces for the program, and you can see the demand. And the other piece that's great to see is people have ridden 2.5 million miles since the program is launched.
That's terrific.
Which is also great for your figure.
Tell me about it. I'm loving biking.
They've burned off some 98 million calories. That's the equivalent of some 178,000 Big Macs or 100,000 pints of Ben & Jerry's Cherry Garcia ice cream.
That's a good way to analyze it. What happens in the wintertime with the docking stations?
New York City is a 24/7 town, 365, and these bikes are available all year round.
They are available all year round. All right, let me ask you about the economics of it, because, you know, the city bike in some cities like Washington, D.C., struggling to profit from the program, right? So how did the city pay for the program? How does it plan to generate revenue?
Well, the program is 100% privately funded, so no taxpayer dollars are associated with the program. We have a $47 million sponsorship package from Citibank, and so they paid for the entire program. So it's really free to New Yorkers, and you're already seeing the uptake. You know, the annual membership is just $100. Which is less than the cost of a monthly Metro card. And you can take it for the day for $10. You can take it for the week for $25. It's one of the best deals in town.
Now, we have helmets. I know we're going to take a spin in a minute, but a helmet is not required.
Helmet's not required, but we strongly encourage it. So the helmet that you have right there is one of the 100,000 helmets that we've passed out for free to New Yorkers. And when you sign up for a City Bike membership, annual membership, you get a key, which you can use to unlock the bikes, and it also comes with a $10 discount for a helmet at a bike store.
So issues in terms of people not wearing helmets, have there been issues? I mean, because you recommend it, but it's not required.
Actually, in all of the million rides that we've done, there have only been 3 injuries, you know, and none of them were major. And so what we're seeing is, as more and more people are biking, our streets are getting safer and safer. And so the streets of New York City are the safest they've been in the history of the city of New York. And so it's great to see that with more bike lanes, more people biking, you know, it's safer for pedestrians, it's safer for cyclists, it's safer for drivers.
And just to follow up on the winter months, you said it's a 24/7 city, New York, and of course it is, but when it's snowing out, I mean, do you have a place to house these bikes, or will they stay in the docking stations?
They'll stay, and the operator of the system has specific service level standards that they have to meet. They have to shovel around the stations. They have to make sure that the bikes are in good working repair. So again, this is all carried out by the private sector who is operating the system.
Very good, and that leads to jobs, of course. Jeanette, great to have you on the program again.
Great to be back. Thanks,
really
Maria.
terrific. I'd like to take a spin. Should we do that at the end of the show?
Let's do it.
Jeanette Sadik-Khan joining us. All right, we'll take a short break. We are going to take a spin, but first let's take a look at the news this week that will have an impact on your money. That's next. Take a look at how the stock market ended the week. Back in a moment. For more on our show and our guests, check out the website, otm.cnbc.com. And I hope you'll follow me on Twitter and on Google+. Look for @Maria Bartiromo. First, though, let's take a look at the stories coming up in the week ahead that may move the markets and impact your money this upcoming week. It's full steam ahead for earnings for the second quarter. We have a slew of financial companies reporting earnings for the second quarter, including Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Citi, Morgan Stanley, and American Express. Other heavy hitters to watch: Google, IBM, Microsoft, Johnson & Johnson, and General Electric. On Monday, retailers will announce monthly sales for the month of June. On Wednesday, we'll get the housing starts report out, that also for the month of June, as well as the Beige Book report, that of course giving us a snapshot of the economy from different regions throughout the country. Also on Wednesday, we will see a kickoff to 2 days of testimony by Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke, that of course on monetary policy, and he speaks before Congress. And that's the show for today. Thanks so much for being with us. Join me next week, and I will see you next weekend. Before we go, we're going to take a little ride. Let me get back and connect with Jeanette Sadik-Khan, the Transportation Commissioner. Okay, you got my helmet there,
You got
Jeanette?
your helmet.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Nice. So we'll take a little ride.
Take a little ride.
Yeah, and just go right down there.
Right, and you
Okay.
can see these are adjustable seats.
You know what? I should not have worn my high heels.
No,
but-
high heels are perfect because
Yeah?
you can hook right in.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Right?
Yep, I'll do it. Got it. All right. This is...
So you've got your bell here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got the bell.
And there's your gears.
Yep. Here's my brakes. Looking good.
Right? You
Awesome.
can have little bike shorts on underneath.
Oh, so you must wear biking shorts under all your outfits.
I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is nice. This is a very
Steady,
nice ride,
right?
Jeanette.
Sturdy.
Steady. It's nice and sturdy.